close another. No,
Having said that, what is the shared vision? The title is very indicative. It says creating a shared vision. When you say creating, it means you are creating something out of nothing. Let us ask ourselves, as a nation, do we have a shared vision? We are ashamed to say we don't have a shared vision, because that is where we are. If we had a shared vision, we would have been among the excelling nations of the world. In terms of our economy, in terms of our social development, in terms of our technological development, if you like, and the new intervention is AI, or artificial intelligence. So, we have to accept, not to be denied, that we do not have shared vision as a nation. It's very difficult sometimes to say, I am sick with tuberculosis, or with cancer, or with some other ailment. There is always this denialist within us, within our brain also, that works and says, no, I don't have to accept that. But accepting where you are is very important. This year, the grade 12 students, there is a tell us something. Last year also, we were very frustrated, particularly parents, fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, families, households, were appalled by the results. Yes, there were a few who have succeeded in their exams, and their results have made their families happy, perhaps. But happiness is incomplete when your neighbors are not happy, when your village is not happy, when your district or zone, or then say as a nation, we are a bruised nation when it comes to that result. Because that is what takes us to college, that is what takes our kids, or their grown-ups, of course, to a higher desire to join the search for higher education. So, but let's ask ourselves again and dig into our history, which is very controversial by itself. Was there any time in Ethiopia or in our history when we had a shared vision? People will jump and say, yes, Adam, during the war, the battle, the great king, Menelik, told the nation. Of course, that was what was the overall dominant thinking of those years. And people from all walks of life, from every corner of the nation, have reason to defend the nation. And that is how we upheld our independence and freedom amongst the nations of the world. This is very important story. There might be some people who will have the other version of Minna. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about either the incident, the battle, where all those who have participated in it represent us honestly and in a dignified manner because of defending the sovereignty of this nation. But did we continue in the realm of economy, in the realm of industry, in the realm of development with a shared vision? No, we've not. So what does creating a shared vision mean to all of us? Is that we have to sit down and say where did things went wrong. Some who are interested in politics would say it is in the political sphere. The economists would say the economy is sick because the problems are blah, blah, blah. And a sociologist might say, yes, the problem is within the framework of this and that. But to be very honest, we have to accept that we do not have a shared vision, and creating a shared vision is very important for us as a nation. I did not come here representing the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission, but I am a member of the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission. Very luckily, not by conspiracy, my sister Lensa is also in the advisory council that advises the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission. I shall come back to that. There are very important institutions for creating a is a wake-up call for all of us. Is a wake-up call to sit and think, what could we do to have a shared vision in our places of worship, in our places of work, with our companions at work, at school, at college, and given all that, the wider nation as a whole. I'll take the example of Japan. The Japanese people have a shared vision. That is why Japan is a highly developed nation, not only technologically, but also culturally. Because the Japanese have not divorced their culture, have not been divorced from their culture. They keep their cultural values, and they excel in technology, in science, in development, in economy. That is why they have a thinking called ikigai. Ikigai is the purpose for which a person lives. Usually in a company, the company competes with another company. In an industry, a certain person who is a potter competes with other potters. In the Japanese understanding of making things in perfection, somebody does not compete with others. He competes or she competes with himself or herself. That is the ikigai, the secret of ikigai. And I think the longevity of the Japanese people, the way they eat, the way they nurture themselves, is all dependent on the philosophy of this ikigai, which is the shared vision of the Japanese people. The Americans have been talking in the past about the great American dream. I think that has been shattered, or pieces of it does exist. But the secret of the American greatness is that it is rejuvenating itself with new blood from the entire world. All the immigrants coming into the United States nourish the great American dream in one way or another. Who was thinking that a young man whose father is a Kenyan and whose mother comes from an island, would be the president of the United States, who would come with a motto, yes we can. And that's Obama, President Obama. So the United States has a vision. I would say this boldly, and I take the responsibility of being pursued by the Americans. The dream is based on dominating the world. The catchword is to lead the world. But I consider it to dominate the world. I don't care about business, so mark that. Usually, as Africans, we have this, how do you call, shyness, timidness, of not calling a spade, of not telling things as they are. But I come from a very nomadic society where truth is in the essence of life. That is what I believe shared vision is. As a nation, we have squandered many chances, many opportunities, but we have one opportunity left now. That is the Ethiopian National Dialogue. Ethiopians have to stop fighting against each other, killing each other. There is no winner. We are all losers in that. We have to sit together, bring our agendas to the table, reach a national consensus, which means a shared vision. God bless Ethiopia. God bless you all. I thank you.
I think my boss was calling me.
Thank you, Ambassador, for insightful reflection regarding what shared vision is and how we can create it, and also providing an example of a nation that has a shared vision, mentioning Ikigai for Japan, and also the Great American Dream. We all shall have that at the end of this conversation, I guess, right? So, not only down to the institutional level, what was your contribution in creating a shared vision at IWLA? Just like the thousands of people who were before you and now working in IWLA.
Okay, thank you, Ambassador. So I think we have the more. Of course, I also share the perspective of a nation. Of course, it is a time that we sit and we discuss and we think, and we have to learn and relearn and unlearn some of the habits that we have when it comes to having a real shared vision in our country. Coming to the institution, because my reflection is on the institutional side, I also believe that, yes, even in institutions, there are opportunities that we have to create giant institutions which come across generations or two generations. But also, on the other side, we also have, we are not also unlucky to have institutions that transcends from generation to generations. So that also shows whether we have a shared vision or not, or whether we share our vision properly or not. So in each side, from the institution, also from the nation, as a nation side, because we are the people who build those institutions, right? So we are the reflection of how the nation has been going on. So since we are part of the nation, and since we are those people who are creating that shared vision among the institutions themselves, and luckily we have the habit of dissolving some institutions, because when we design them at first, we have, of course, a vision, or we see something that those institutions might be working on. Then at some point, we just change our direction, and then we see change or dissolve some institutions. Luckily, of course, I'm leading the Ethiopian Women Members Association now, which is one the women's rights organization, who stayed 17 years probably before Heran was born. So now Heran, you are listening one story of an institution which existed before you came to the world. So when I say IWLA stayed for 3 decades, this is a perfect reflection of when institutions have a shared vision or a vision itself. So among the founding members of the organization, Her Excellency Chief Justice Maaza Shenafi, we used to sit and talk. There is a lot of gap between me and her. There are five of us, I think, who is leading that organization. So from that, sometimes luckily all of the directors sometimes we just sit and talk. So when we talk, what surprises us is IWLA sustained through high, through low, through nothing, and through, we have had a time where we have money. We have had a time where we don't have money. We have had a time again because of obviously the political discourse and the political change, and that also comes out with different changes in law, that organization still exists. And if you ask me, I can talk about what founding members has been talking about in EWLA. There is a clear program that we are operating on. There is a clear goal. There is a clear, of course, it's a lawyers member, and most, the General Assembly is full of female lawyers, but also we do have associate members who are male and also other professionals. But what surprises me, what inspires me is in EWLA or in this institution, there is a cause. There is a cause that always calls you. For me, I joined the movement. I call it a movement. I call it a movement. When I joined, it's by the time where the organization lost its high C time. It's because of the previous law, and we haven't been receiving any kinds of fundings from anyone. But we have to sustain an institution which has 8 branch offices across the country and nearly operating almost across the nation, I can say. So when I joined it, I have seen the director struggling to secure fundings, and I have seen lots of difficult times in the organization. That's what I share, especially as a person. For me, if you ask me maybe 10 years or 10 years back, I could say women's rights, I was not clear to that. That's why actually I went to Iceland to study gender studies. So when I joined and when I feel the passion and when I see the need, basically, there are women who come seeking legal assistance from us. So when I see the need, I can relate to that organization that whoever can do, by some contribution to it. I have been leading the organization as a board chair, and now as an executive director. But within these times, one thing that is not changed is the vision that the organization started. And that vision is a shared vision. It has been, they have created a real shared vision for that organization. So such kinds of institutions are very rare in our country, especially as a civil society organization, where you basically, struggle to get fundings or to get resources to continue your original vision. EWLA hasn't changed its vision or the way we do things. If you ask, for instance, Madam Maaza Shibaki, she could tell you, EWLA has 3 programs. The first program is free legalism, the second is this, the third is this, and we have this vision. Our mission is this. So everything that we do, every project or every programs that we design across the 3 decades, they are the same, they are almost the same. So what triggers people to join EWLA is more of the passion, the vision that has been created in the institution. So that's the reality of EWLA. For me, if you ask me, I have shared some vision from the previous one, so I have the responsibility to also do the same to the next generation. So when I received the organization, it was obviously, it came from a decade of challenge, and my role was to rebuild the institution. So when I rebuild the institution, what makes it easy for me is because I share the vision, and I know what is going to happen in that organization and what we are going to do in that organization. So I want this thing, I want the same thing. I want Heran to feel the same thing. Because when I came as a director, the first thing I did is to collect graduates, law school graduates, female law school graduates, and I put them, and I bring them to EWLA as an intern. I was coaching them. When I say I was mentoring, I was coaching, I was really doing it. I was committed to that as well. Why? Because the organization should also continue another 30 years journey. It can 30 years now. I also have a plan, it will continue that way. So for that thing to continue, Heran and her batch, so the youngest ones who joined the organization should understand the essence of that organization. It also depends on the passion, and the passion you have toward this, helping or helping and assisting a woman who don't have the capacity, any capacity to represent herself in the court of justice or anyway. So EWLA, it can also be one good example that have shared a vision throughout the generation. That we have organizations or institutions like that, I leave it to you. Sometimes I'll just say, because for the nations, for any nation to continue, of course the people are there, but then we need to have a very strong institutions that also, try to support us or try to continue our visions or things that we envision as a nation. One of my fear is, when we talk about sharing vision, a shared vision, sometimes we don't understand even how it makes life easy. It really makes your life easy because you are collecting people with different expertise, different insights, but you are leading them or you are going to the same goal, the same. Sometimes when I see some of the institutions struggling to come and to work together, I always see this is the major problem, even as a nation. Because as a civil society organizations, for us, we have to have a synergy among us. Synergy is one of the basic things that we need to have. It also, resources limited and resources scarce. So to sustain those kind of institutions, our goal is to achieve gender equality, for example, as a women's rights organization. So if that is the case, one of the things that we have to do intentionally is we have to make sure that we create a synergy among ourselves, because our goal is to achieve, to achieve something. I'm a human rights person, so if what we want is to see a country where human rights is respected, where democracy is there, it's not something that I run it as an individual or one organization runs just as one organization. We need to create a shared vision among the cause itself. So for me, sometimes we miss how it makes life easy itself. We just, sometimes we talk about creating institutions, but we don't design its sustainability. For IWLA, its sustainability, why the organization stayed 10 years without funding is because the members, bought the vision and they believed in the vision of the organization. Not that they believed in the leadership of the organization. Okay? But leaders will come and go, obviously. Leaders will do their own mistakes or they might do something. We don't know what will happen during the leadership time. So that's another story. But why we are there is there is a focused vision. So for institutions to sustain, one of the major things I have, one of my contributions and many others, is of course to review the institution, to make sure that, of course, there are challenges among generations, and even for us, what we've been fighting for hasn't been what the previous leadership or the previous IWLA members have been fighting for. So I can also predict what's going to be the challenge of the next generation, like the Hera's generation. So sometimes I just tell them how they have to think strategically to sustain such organizations. So we need also to have a sustainability plan. So our sustainability plan for us is sharing the vision, creating strong members who can understand the passion and the vision, and then those who are also committed. For example, those people who came to provide the legal assistance in our organization, they are not paid anything, but they do the legal assistance maybe for 10, 15 years. If you go and ask them, they will tell you that's the passion, that's where the vision, that's the vision. Some of them might have some problem with the organization sometimes because of some frictions, but still they came and they said, that's for me how I see or how I believe institutions should have settled their vision.
Thank you very much, Lisa. From your reflection, we have understood that having a clear goal and sticking to the initial vision set for our organization is very important in order to share our vision among the people who are working in our institution and who are also living in the community we serve. It's also important to have passion and synergy among the members of the institution and also believing in the cause that we serve. So from the reflection, we have also learned that having shared the vision help us to secure the sustainability of our institution and also strategic plan. So keeping topic at this place. So what is the main challenge for other institutions to have a shared vision? What do you think is the main challenge for them to establish a shared vision?
If we talk about challenges, we can talk a lot of challenges, right? Because that's what's easy for us. We have to come up with some reasons why those things are, not taking us or not putting us together to envision for some goal. That definitely, I'm just talking from the perspective of the civil society as wing. Unfortunately, I have to say, as because Ambassador said, we have to speak directly as it is. We operate in a situation where resources is scarce. So when you operate in a situation where resources is scarce, basically what you focus is on the resources that you have to get to sustain your organization or your institution. So I see that kind of dynamics in the civil society sector. Of course, I'm not just completely saying there are not efforts that have been tried to bring such institutions to work together, to envision together. That in general, that is also a big challenge. And also, we are the reflection of whatever institutions we have. We are also the reflection of the community, right? So, unfortunately, as a community, yes, we do have a culture of doing some things together, but when it comes to some kind of works that are just like us, we tend more to have